Do 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 do. Do 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 do. We're going live. We're going live. We're going live. Going live today. Going live to save the day. Going live. Oh yeah, baby. Watch my streams or else I don't know. Anyways, hey guys, welcome back to Game Dev. I've done a minuscule amount of work since last night. I tried doing enemy AI. I failed. So that's today's stream. I did kind of do tile map stuff. I figured out how to do tile map stuff. So yeah. It's so peak. But yeah, hold on, I'm trying to make sure that my audio levels are like right. I might need to lower that a little more. There we go. Alright. So, before, anything else, I'm just gonna, like, get everything booted up. I'm gonna wait for some people to get in stream here, give it a few moments, and then I'll show off what I've done. Although you can, like, immediately see that I've done some shenanigans since yesterday. Do 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 do. This music is funky. Ah, shoot! I didn't put the link to it in the stream description. Ah, I'm a buffoon. I'll update that after the stream, and if anybody asks the music, I'll direct them to the previous stream's VOD, which still has it in description. Alright. I suppose it's been enough time. Anyone who's going to join stream is joined. So, this is what's new. Tile map. There's stuff here. That's right. It's no longer just a gray void. We got the spider in, but it don't do anything. I guess you could, like, make it look like you're wearing a hat, but outside of that, nothing is done by the spider. And I actually coded something. I didn't just mess around with certain random settings in the editor all night. I coded the ability to scroll in and out. I don't know if I'm even gonna keep it. I might not. But yeah. We still do actually suffer from gray void syndrome, just, we have a little bit of not gray void to break up the, monotony, I guess. But yeah, so that's pretty much all I did last night. So I edited the player scene. So when we look in here, also you might be able to hear the kitty meowing in the background. Sorry. So I discovered that the camera has, position smoothing. And I was like, oh, that's neat. It looks so funky. But then, this jittering happens. And I didn't realize it was from the camera smoothing for a while. So I spent, like, 2 or 3 hours last night trying to figure out why this jittering was happening and how to fix it. When it was just camera smoothing. So, unfortunately, we can't have, smoothing on the camera, but I did add some drag to it, so now, when you move, there's a little bit of movement before, yeah. I also made it so that way the camera shifted slightly above the player. Wait, did I even do a follow camera while I was on stream? I think I did. Yeah, I did. So yeah, that's like all that I did off stream. I imported the spider. I tried to do enemy asset stuff, but I couldn't figure that out yet. So that's today. That's today's stream. And I suppose instead of dillying the dallying, I might as well just get right to it. So, I want the mobs to collide with each other, so. Yeah, these guys. I need something that will target the player. So. That might not be as much help as I was hoping. Let's see. I don't think this is getting me far.
Now that we've got...
This could be a useful tutorial. I'm gonna hold on to that for a second before I Wait, they have like built-in A-star pathfinding? Huh.
Work today is broken. We're all working in too many disconnected apps, and it's killing team productivity.
Alright, you guys asked, and I am delivering.
See.
Navigation in 2D.
Shout out to Abra here.
So, let's get started. We're gonna need a navigation region 2D. It's right here.
I think this is just like a guide to pathfinding. Yeah, no, I think I might have to do.
These goblins spawning around the map. The next
Oh my god, it's Journey of the Prairie King.
thing I want to do is bring some AI into it so that the goblins can come in and attack the player. Well, the first thing I want to do is have them actually enter the map. So they're not going to chase the player right away, they're just going to walk in towards the center and then they'll look for the player and move towards him. And the first thing I need to do is add a script onto this goblin node. And then I can define a couple of variables. The first one is going to track whether the goblin has entered the game area or not. This is going to be a boolean variable called entered. Next I will define the goblin's speed variable, and lastly I will define a direction.
I'm kind of like using this as a base guide. I don't want to do specifically what this person's doing, but like, you know. Okay, so now
Direction variable, which is going to be a vector 2. Now I can start setting up my ready function, which will fire as soon as this goblin is created and added into our main game scene.
just type that out there first thing so it doesn't yell at me.
For the goblin to be able to move into the game area, we first of all need to know where the game area is, how big it is, and where the midpoint is. For all of that, I'm going to create a variable called screenRect, and this is going to be my viewport rectangle. At the same time, I will also set the entered variable from before to false. Now I need to be able to pick a direction for the entrance, so I need to know which way the goblin needs to move when it's first spawned. To do that, I'm going to look at the distance between the goblin's center point and our game window center point. So I'll assign a variable called distance, and in that variable I will take my screen rectangle from before, get its center point, and then subtract the goblin's own position. Once I have that variable, I can check whether the goblin needs to move horizontally or vertically. Basically, is the goblin on the left and right side, or is it on the top and bottom? And that's...
Yeah, okay, actually, something very stupid I could do is I could just get the center of the screen and have the spider move towards there. That'd be really funny, but I'm not going to do that, because it wouldn't work quite right with how I've set this up currently. God, that'd be really funny. Just have it walk towards the center of the screen. Ba-bam. Problem solved. Pew, pew, pew. Alright. Oh. I alt-tabbed back into Godot. I thought I was gonna alt-tab into, what do you call it?
That's going to be done by breaking this distance variable into its x and y components, and then taking the absolute values. Because these could be negative, so I just drop off the negative value by making it an absolute. If the x component is greater than the y component, that means that the goblin is further to the left and right than it is up and down, so I need to move them horizontally. And movement is going to be done using this direction variable from before. I can define its x and y properties separately as well. If I'm moving horizontally, then it's the x property that I'm interested in, so I will set that to this distance variable. My y property...
Speedor. Indeedor.
of the direction variable is going to be 0 because it doesn't move up or down. That takes care of horizontal movement, and the else statement is going to take care of our vertical movement. This is going to be more or less the exact opposite of what I just done for horizontal movement. This time our x direction is 0 and the y direction is the y distance. This will work out the direction that the goblin needs to move in, but it won't actually move the goblin. That has to happen inside of our process function, or in this case our physics process. The reason it's a physics process as opposed to just a normal process function is because there's going to be collision detection in here as well. What we're going to do here is take our direction variable that we just created, as well as the speed variable that we defined at the beginning, and multiply them together to get a velocity. Once I have that, I can apply move and slide onto this goblin to move it around. And let's test this out and see what happens. A goblin is spawned, and then pretty much instantly it moves right into the middle of the screen. And that's because our direction variable is very high. It's taking the entire distance from where the goblin currently is to the midpoint of our game window. So it basically just teleports there. What we actually need to do is limit this movement by normalizing this vector. Before we calculate our velocity, I will take my direction and then I will run normalized on it. This time when I run it, the goblins are going to move much slower. So now they're actually entering the game window properly. And now that we have that, we can move on to the next bit, which is when the enemies have finished entering the game area. Because right now, all of them basically just move towards the middle and then just keep going. So
Can't
they're
stop
actually
the
just going to walk from
A-train.
one end to the other. I only want them to move for a certain period of time before we can say that they've entered the game area and now they can start actually chasing the player. So I'm going to add a timer node onto the goblin node at the top. I'll rename this timer to entrance timer. I will set the wait time to 1.25 seconds and then I will tick auto start on. Now what I can do is take this entrance timer, go into its node and look for that timeout property, or that timeout signal, and connect it into my script. This will give me a new function at the bottom, and what I can do in here is take that entered variable that I set to false when the enemy is first created, and set it to true. So now we're basically saying, that's it, it's been 1.25 seconds, the goblin has entered our game window. But that alone isn't going to be enough. What we actually need to do is change the direction of movement once this entered variable is true. In here, before I calculate my direction and normalize it, I'm just going to add an if statement which will say if entered, and this will allow me to override the direction to something else. So here what I like to do is define my direction instead of being based on the distance to the center of the game window like it was before, to being based on the player's position. So I can say something like this: I'm now going to take my player variable, take its position and subtract the goblin's position. That will give me a new direction. The issue here is that I don't have the player in this scene. What we did previously to handle this when we set up the enemy spawner is have this on ready at the beginning. So we found our main node inside of our scene tree and just assigned it to a variable to make it easier to work with. I can do the same thing here for the player. So right at the top I can add...
Okay, so... on ready. You know, I actually kind of almost did something like this already, so... I should just... Ba-bam.
on ready var, and I'll just change that to player. Then it's going to be my root, then it's main, and then it's player underneath that. So if I go back in here, I just add a / player.
I'm just having it print main, so that way I know if it is not. Okay, so... Let's go look at this. So,
That. Change that to. So if we go back in here, I just add a / player.
root main kit player. I don't know if I. So he did this.
And I'll just, what we did our main node to handle this when we set up the enemy spawner is have this on ready at the beginning.
Okay, so I'm gonna check something. Okay,
The next thing that this game needs is some enemies. To do that, we're going to create another scene, and we'll add a node to it, which will be another character body 2D node. And I'm going to rename this to match the type of enemy, which is going to be a goblin. And just like with the player, this gives us a yellow warning here, because we need to add a couple of things to it. The first is going to be our animated sprite, because this character is going to have an animation. And the second is going to be a collision shape.
I love having to
so just like before, we go into the
go in
tab over here, and create a new
circles to
sprite
find
frame. Click on that again, and we'll start setting up our
tutorials on
the first one I'll
these.
create is idle, and if
I think once I know how to get the player's position, I can figure out how to code the rest of this on my own. In fact, I want to figure out how to code the rest of this on my own.
If I go into my enemies, I've got the goblin here with different animation images. There are 4 of them in the idle animation, which I'll drag over here. And since this is the default animation, I want this one to autoplay. We can take a look at it in the 2D view and just see what it looks like. Now that is far too small, so we're going to scale it, but I'll actually scale the entire node. If I go into my goblin node up here and go into transform, I can change the scale from 1 to 4. And now we can see the image a little bit better, so we'll go into the animation and click play just to see it progressing. Now this animation does look kind of slow compared to the character, so I'm going to increase the speed by setting this to 10 frames per second instead of 5. And now it's going to play at double the speed it did before. So that takes care of idle. Now let's set up another animation which is going to be run, and I just drag over these 4 frames over here. Set the frame rate again to 10 frames per second. Let's just check that one out, so that looks good. And the last animation, it's not actually an animation, it's only one still image, but it doesn't matter, it's still going to work the same. So I drag over the dead frame into this dead animation. The frame rate here doesn't matter, so I just left it at 5 frames per second, because there's nothing here to actually flick through. Now that we've done that, we need to set up the collision shape.
Okay, I'm pausing the music for just a moment so I can focus.
So let's switch back over to, let's say, the idle animation, go into our collision shape, and create a new rectangular shape. And then just adjust the size of it, like we did previously for the player, just to match the outside of this goblin character. Like so. And that takes care of most of the setup, but one thing we need to do is set up the physics, or rather the collision. We'll go back into our goblin node, this parent node here, click on collision, and then change the layer from 1, which is bushes, onto 3, which is the enemies. So this goblin is always going to be on layer 3, because it is one of the enemies, and the collision will only be detected with the bushes. You might be wondering why not the player, and we'll handle that slightly differently. With that done, we can now save the scene inside of our scenes folder. And now we need a way of getting these goblins into the game, so that when we actually run our game, these enemies spawn somewhere. And I want them to spawn off the screen, so they spawn somewhere over here outside of these gaps, and then move into the game. And that to marker 2D, move this marker. Then I can create another one next to it, so this will be another marker 2D, and I just shift it slightly along. The coordinates here will be 405, and again minus 50 on the y, going to be at looks and how it lines up with everything else. So if I save this scene, I can then go back into the markers appearing for the enemies to come markers. So there's 1 by 1, they're all already completed. The bottom still spawn down here, and then come code to complete this scene. And that's going to be a start. We'll tick that script. This scene is going to generate the goblin scene, so it needs to know where that goblin scene actually is. We're going to save it inside a variable called goblin scene, and then we will preload our goblin scene location. So if we go into where these assets and files are, we've got our scenes folder, and it's got goblin inside there. So we can just scroll through looking for the right one. I'll go into enemies, no, rather I'll go into scenes, and then goblin. And the second thing I need is all of these markers grouped together. So I could manually add them into a Godot group, but instead I'm just going to create an array and put all of those markers into it. So that's what we will do first. As soon as this enemy spawner node enters our scene tree for the first time, it runs this ready function. So this is where we're going to update this spawn points array. The first thing we want to do is iterate through all of the children inside of this node. So that's going to iterate through all the markers, but also the timer. I don't want the timer to be counted here, I just want the markers. That means that I need to check what this variable I actually is. And if it is a marker 2D node, which all of these ones are, but the timer isn't, then I take my spawn points array and I append that variable into it. By the end of this for loop, I'm going to have a fully populated spawn points array, which can...
Alright, yeah, that's all making sense so far. That's weird, actually being able to listen to what a tutorial is saying and actually comprehend it.
Contains each one of these markers.
I'm not used to
Now
that.
we can handle the enemy spawning. We don't actually need a process function, so we can delete that, because this node works based on the timer. What we will do instead is take our timer, go into the node section up here,
on its
and we'll
timeout.
select this timeout signal. Basically what this means, as it says in the tooltip there, that this is emitted when the timer reaches 0. So this is a 1 second timer. It's going to count down. As soon as it hits 0, it will emit this signal. And we can link into this or connect it. So if I click connect, it will create a new function that is connected onto that timer. Inside this function is where I can handle my enemy generation. And the first thing I want to do is pick a random spawn point. I've got this array full of spawn points, so I just need to randomly pick one of them from that array. To do that, I will create a new variable called spawn. Then I will go into my array and I will select a random variable from it. Once I have this random spawn point, I can go ahead and spawn an enemy. I'll create the enemy inside a new variable called goblin. And this goblin is going to be made from the goblin scene that we had before. So I can take it over here and say .instantiate. This will create an instance of the goblin scene, but it's going to position it at coordinates 0, 0. So I want to position it at my spawn coordinate positions. That's basically what's happening when I'm picking one of these.
Okay, so can I just preload?
Random markers. I then assign the position of that marker onto my goblin position. Once that's done, I need to add this goblin into my main scene.
Something's telling me that
main
that's
scene
not a
is
good
another level
idea.
above my enemy spawner. So to access it, I'm going to need to go into my root and then back down into my main scene. But that's going to get a little bit messy down here. So to keep things tidy, I'm going to define a variable right at the top, which is going to give me the path into my main node. What this line of code is saying is as soon as this node enters the scene tree, when it's activated, we'll create a variable called main, and it's going to be equal to our node at our root / main, which is this here.
Get node / main. Because my main is lowercase, so I'm actually going to rename this to main 2. So now if function physics process
now that we've got these goblins, because right now,
here.
before I calculate my direction and normalize it, I'm just going to add an if statement before to being based on the
Let me just make sure it's properly getting main. It's still showing null. There we go. Alright. It is now properly getting the... Download the video 2 times speed, copy 2 times speed, 2 times the speed to copy. 4 times speed, let's go, baby. So now, now I just need to get, player, so that would be main / player. Alright. Let's see. Yo! Alright, we're getting the player. So now, Godot documentation. Search the docs. Move and slide. I want to know more about the move and slide function. Okay. Physics process. Get input. Okay. Move and slide automatically includes the time study. Okay. Not multiply velocity. Not apply to gravity. And okay. So. Move and slide is what does all the movement, correct? Send character, run speed, jump speed, gravity, velocity, right? Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go look at the basic player script. So get input. Function get input, input direction equals input dot get vector left, right, up, down. Okay, so real quick, okay, I'm thinking func. Okay, anyways, so for this function, it's going to be target. And it's going to take player dot right, can I get the player position, or would it be
player's position. So I can say something like this. I'm now going to take my player variable, take its position, and subtract the goblin's position.
so player dot position is the target. I was gonna say something, but I forgot. My brain is moving just very slowly. We get the player position, and we need to get, I think, the spider's position. Then we need to get the wait, no. Get player dot position. Okay, never mind. I need the tutorial to help my brain.
That will give me a new direction. The issue is going to take care of our vertical movement. This is going to be more or less the exact opposite of what I just done for horizontal movement. This time our x direction is 0 and the y direction is the y distance. This will work out the direction that the goblin needs to move in, but it won't actually move the goblin. That has to happen inside of our process function, or in this case our physics process. The reason it's a physics process as opposed to just a normal process function is because there's going to be collision detection in here as well. What we're going to do here is take our direction variable that we just created, as well as the speed variable that we defined at the beginning, and multiply them together to get a velocity. Once I have that, I can apply move and slide onto this goblin to move it around.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so we just need to get the velocity. So we need to... I'm getting somewhere vaguely. Give me a moment. I'm going on intermission for a moment to run to the restroom. You know how it is. Okay, chat, I'm back, and I'm also going to remember to remove the intermission text, before I do anything else. Because you know me. 2 streams in a row, I've kept that intermission text there. Also, that Discord notification is just bugging me. Alright, there we go. That should be removed now. Yep. Okay. So the move and slide variable, or no, function, just needs a velocity input and then it does the rest. So let me have him talk through this
Then
again.
taking the absolute values, because these could be negative. Fire as soon as this goblin is created and added into our main game scene. For the goblin to be able to move into the game, before we calculate our velocity, I will take my direction and then I will run normalized on it. This time when I run it, the goblins are going to move much slower. So now they're actually entering that entered variable that I set to false when the enemy is first created. That alone isn't going to be enough. What we actually need to do is, in here, before I calculate my direction and normalize it, I'm just going to add an if statement, which will say if entered. And this will allow me to override the direction to something else. So here what I like to do is define my direction instead of being based on the distance to the center of the game window like it was before, to being based on the player's position. So I can say something like this. I'm now going to take my player variable, take its position and subtract the goblin's position. That will give me a new direction.
Then he defined a direction variable at the start of this script, right? Yeah. It's equal to vector2. So when we get, oh, on. Okay, variable direction. Built-in type cannot be used as a name on its own. Of vector2, meaning that now whatever this vector2 is set to,
called screen rect, and this is going to be my view to move when this our green rectangle from before, get top and bottom, taking the absolute values, because these could be negative, so I just drop off the negative value by making it an absolute. If the x component is greater than the y component, that means that the goblin is further to the left and right than it is up and down. So I need to move them horizontally. And movement is going to be done using this direction variable from before. I can define its x and y properties separately as well. If I'm moving horizontally, then it's the x property that I'm interested in. So I will set that to this distance variable. My y property of the direction variable is going to be 0 because it doesn't move up or down.
So our direction should just be set to... on. Shouldn't our direction just be set to, the player's position? So, hold on. If we go back here...
Is it? I'm just going to add an if statement, which will say if entered. And this, so I can say something.
Direction is equal to player dot position minus position.
Something like this. I'm now and I only want them to move for a certain so that teleports there. They're distant of the screen. A goblin is spawned, and then pretty much instantly, it moves right into the middle of the screen. And that's because our direction variable is very high. It's taking the entire distance from where the goblin currently is to the midpoint of our game window. So it basically just teleports there. What we actually need to do is limit this movement by normalizing this vector. Before we calculate our velocity, I will take my
dot normalized. So then all that should be is c is equal to and then let's go, nothing's happening. Woo, baby. Oh, woo, baby, nothing's happening.
my direction, and then I will run normalized on it. This time when I run it, the goblins are going to move much slower. So now they're actually entering the game window properly. And now that we have...
Is there something stupid that I've forgotten?
Once this entered variable is true. In here, before I calculate my direction and normalize it, I'm just going to add an if statement, which will say if entered. And this will allow me to override the direction to something else. So here what I like to do is define my direction instead of being based on the distance to the center of the game window like it was before, to being based on the player's position. So I can say something like this. I'm now going to take my player variable, take its position, and subtract the goblin's position.
Is there a reason why it's in brackets here? I mean, I still don't quite understand things, but... maybe it's just because I don't know enough yet.
The issue here is that I don't have the player in this scene. What we did previously to handle this when we set up the enemy spawner is have this on ready at the beginning. So we found our main node inside of our scene tree. So right at the top, then it's main. If I test this out now and I just move over into the corner, the enemies will come in, and then once they've moved for 1.25 seconds, you can see they now change their
On ready, variable, player, get node, variable speed, velocity equals direction times speed.
trajectory. So they move into the game window for a look and just assigned it to a variable to make it easy at the beginning. What we did
Welcome back. Nothing. You've missed nothing happening. Literally. Oh. Oh my god. I may be stupid. Yo! It's working! Maybe... Let's go! Chat, we have an enemy and it can move. Okay, this guy. And it goes towards the player. It's so peak. Yeah, baby. Woohoo. I mean, it doesn't do anything yet. But this is all I needed from it, was the ability to walk. So next, I suppose I will, I need to get animations in. That's like, I feel like that's something that I need to do here soon, is get these guys, excuse me, schmoving and animated. But, for just this very moment, having a guy that follows you is very, very lay epic, and it only took me 40 minutes. Let's go, chat. I'm only stupid because I was printing instead of telling the game to move. My ass, maybe stupid. So, now then, Coding with Russ here. Shout out, my boy. Epic, peak, woohoo. It's been a very helpful tutorial. It even worked with the stuff that I was doing. Ba-bam. Let's go. Woo, baby. Okay. Yeah. Woohoo. We got a guy. Main. 2D. Migration. Let's go, baby. It only took me 10 more billion years. I have a hat. Get off my head, you scoundrel. And I think I might want to make it so that way these guys are on different collision layers from the player. Because, well, hats are funny. Get off of me! End me, you foul scoundrel! This is obnoxious. Oh god, they're like actually just pushing me off. The swarms. The swarms. The swarms. And I intentionally do want the spiders... Oh, I want the spiders to run into each other. Trust me, that's part of the plan, is to keep the spiders colliding with each other. And say, because otherwise, they group up really weirdly into, like, one spot, and it looks stupid. But yeah, we have guys. Let's go. I'm walking on spiders. Wahoo! Boing, boing. They're like pointing at me. You. swarms, the swarms, the swarms, the swarms. Oh god, for real. I might actually... One thing I'm gonna change. Collision shape 2D. I wanted like... capsule on its side, but that's fine. But I do think I want to do it like this, where there's circles, so that way when they group up, yeah, it groups up just a little funkier. It just makes all the collisions look a little nicer when they're circles instead of squares. Some funny jittering does seem to happen if they stand still or like are getting blocked, but I think this is better with a circle collider. Unhand me, you foul scoundrels. You like my hat? It's so peak. I should not be as enamored as I am with just spiders. The steampunk gods are kind to me. Lesbian Jesus, however. What does that mean? God, this is... I should not feel as proud of myself as I do right now. Just to have some guys that walk towards me. I think next I want to do spider spawning, and then that'll be it for this stream. And then next stream, in fact, I might do part of this off stream. I'm thinking asset overhaul for a lot of this, because I want to double the size of the textures, and I want to animate them. Rasa, like, now I gotta. This will get the stream copyright, but I don't care. Ah! I want to see if I can get them to, like, surround me. Yes, my pretties! Come on, just a little further. Oh, come on. Come on. Come on. I just have a funky hat. I want funky boots to go along. Oh, oh. Oh? Let's go, I've been engulfed. Yeah, baby! Woo! It's so peak. I'm just... Stream is going well so far. It's so peak. I love it. Unhand me, you foul beasts! Yeah, okay, so now... Now I have a lot of deleting to do. Prison. Jail. Next time. Just guess. The behemoth. Hey guys, you like my hat? Okay, I don't even know how I managed to scale that so horribly. It's so stupid. I love it. Okay, anyways, spider, collision shape. Or is it just as here? Aha, collision. Okay, so collision layer. So that should mean now. Okay, yeah. They no longer collide, but if I were to put a second spider. Second spider in the scene, they would still collide, correct? Yes. The behemoth. Alright, there we go. So now, the spiders still collide with each other, but they do not collide with the player, which is very important for, you know, not getting trapped in the bugosphere. Sphugobeer. Bugosphere. Go away, you're bugging me. You're arachniding me. Also, something really funny to me is just the fact that... where is it? I could just be like, instead of being attacked by spiders, I want to be attacked by boxes. And now, I'm being attacked by boxes. Changing textures is funny. Give some of them the ability to jail you. Maybe. It's a civil war! We. Bum 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 ba-dum. Away from me, you foul creatures. Alright. It's so peak. Can I, like... rotate that 90 degrees. There we go. That's like... yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good collider shape for the spider. These are my children, Ben and Jerry. Oh yeah. Da 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 da. They're so funky. I love them. I need to actually go back to doing things, or like I'm just too busy staring at spider. Alright. I'm trying to... real quick. I'm just going to, ba-bam, and so now... there we go, all that. Now this gives me a lot more time where I can run around before I get, like, back to the gray void, you know? Alright. I want to see if I can figure this out on my own. Or maybe not on my own, but like, sorta on my own. Like, instead of using one of those big tutorials, I want to use this and nothing else. So. Actually, I'm kind of thinking, maybe it's like, so with the farm, all the monsters come from, like, a forest to, like, the left or whatever. And so that's where they, like, trail out of. So you have, like, a definite zone that you know you have to deal with. Well, no. So it'd be, like, this way. It's like a forest where they come from and they get you. I think that could be interesting. And then I make, like, their spawner. Be like... Okay, yeah, I think I have an idea here. I think I have an idea of what to do here for the enemy spawning, but for now I'm just going to create, so scene, new scene, other node, Here's kind of what I'm thinking. Marker 2D and a timer. Yeah, 1 second. 1 second seems good for now. I gotta go run to the restroom real quick, so... BRB chat. They call me the return. The return of the Bab. Sorry, chat, that I was gone for so long. You see, I'm so epic. And all that. But now, we're so back, baby. Yeah, baby. Woo-hoo! Alright. Actually, hold on, I was gonna... I could just... I don't know why I was making the spawner its own scene. I don't really need that. And I still have the intermission text up. Hold up. They call Bab the Returner. They do. They do call Bab the Returner. It is I, the Returner! What was I doing last? I was making spawn points for enemies. I don't know, maybe I should hold that thought on making spawn points for enemies and start doing some art assets. Meow. Hi, kitty. Hi, kitty. Hi, kitty. What's up, kitty? Kitty cat. Kitty cat, kitty, kitty, kitty. Goodbye, spider. Hello, spider. Whoosh. I don't even know what I'm doing at this point, chat. Hey. Hi, kitty. What are you doing, kitty? Are you about to jump onto my lap? I'd appreciate it if you didn't, but, I know how you are. The beast has returned. I had my door open when I returned to my room, and I figured to say screw it and let the cat in. Kitty. I gotta post photos of this cat in the Discord at some point, so you guys know the ferocious beast that has been harassing me every stream. You look like you're contemplating jumping, but it's like as long as I'm petting you, you don't seem to want to do it. So if I just keep petting you faster and faster to make sure you never get a chance to jump. Yeah, I'm holding back this cat from jumping onto my lap from halfway. Swat! Never mind. The hell thing back, fam. You wanna say hi? You wanna say hi, Jem? Now you're not talkative now that you're sprawled out across my lap. The creature. I do need to post photos of the creature. Hi, creature. Hey, you can't just fight me when you're on my lap. Not allowed. Mostly because I could just drop you on the floor. I mean, I wouldn't, but I could. Although, honestly, you're gonna drop yourself on the floor if you keep rolling like that. Hi. Hey. Make peace and love, not war. Well, I now only have one hand, because the other hand is being attacked by the kitty. So, I don't know how much more game deving I can do with only one hand. Unleash me, you foul beast. Also, sorry for pausing the music. I didn't mean to do that. Well, AFK. Ah, you got me. You know, if you eat me, there won't be anything for you to sit on. You know that, right, kitty?
The next thing that this game needs is some enemies. To do that, we're going to create another scene, and we'll add a node to it, which will be another...
You are a... You are a beast. You're a beastie weastie who has no respect for me. Unhand me. Ow! Yeah, I'm gonna take a photo of you being mean to me. Ow. Ow, you're like actually biting there. Alright, the beast, chat, if you go in the Discord server and look in media. Oh god, that photo is so blurry. Probably because the cat was attacking me in it. So he was moving a whole bunch, but also my camera's just been taking blurry photos lately. I am not food. I am not food, kitty. Ow. The Wunkus. Yeah, in the media channel of my Discord server, there is a photo of the beast. Ow. Why are you just eating me? I'm friend, not food. Okay. He's finally stopped attacking my hand, so...
character body 2D node. And I'm going to rename this to match the type of enemy, which is going to be a goblin. And just like with the player, this gives us a yellow warning here, because we need to add a couple of things to it. The first is going to be our animated sprite, because this character is going to have an animation. And the second is going to be a collision shape. Let's start off with the animation. So just like before, we go into the animation tab over here and create a new sprite frame. Click on that again, and we'll start setting up our animations. The first one I'll create is idle, and if I go into my enemies, I've got the goblin here with different animation images. There are 4 of them in the idle animation, which I'll drag over here. And since this is...
I don't know, I think I might actually continue that off stream, get the spawning set up, work on some of those assets off stream. Cat, no. You're not allowed on my desk. Because now that Cat is here, I am being thoroughly obstructed in doing anything while on stream. So I can't focus on streaming Cat and Game Dev all at once. So thank you everybody for stopping in. Have a good one. Goodbye. Ah, Cat, no, stay off the desk. You can't go up there. There's like 10 billion cables. Smooch. But anyways, goodbye. Waiting for stream to catch up. Waiting for stream to catch up. Waiting for stream to catch up. So that way I can actually end it.